Thank you for watching us on YouTube. But did you know that if you're on the go, you can get the full show as a podcast now? You can get our morning breakdown of the most important topics facing our country, news not being covered by the mainstream media, interviews with change-making progressives, and info on what you can actually do about all this. Search for The Damage Report on your favorite podcast app and subscribe so you know when new episodes are ready to go. As we showed you with the From the Perspective of Water video before the break, Donald Trump's got some issues in terms of intelligence, but it's possible that his personality flaws go a little bit deeper and could impact how he acts as president. To help talk about that and more, we're now joined by neuroscientist Bobby Azarian. Bobby, welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing, John? Thanks for having me on.
We're very glad to have you here. So there's so many things I want to talk to you about, but you recently had an article that I read on Alternet talking about various aspects of how Donald Trump's personality intersect with the ways that he interprets the news, responds to developments in the Mueller investigation. And we have certainly noticed that when bad news breaks, when there are leaks, he doesn't respond well. Why do you think that is, personality-wise?
So first I want to say I'm not an expert in narcissistic personality disorder, but I do try to look at what's going on in the world of politics and try to analyze that from a psychology perspective. And when I'm watching what's going on with Donald Trump, one of the first things that comes to mind is his narcissistic personality. So when we're going to talk about this, I think it's important to establish that he is in fact a narcissist. Usually when you want to give someone a clinical diagnosis, you want to give them a full mental examination. But with Donald Trump, it's kind of a rare case because we have these mountains and mountains of behavioral evidence. We have videos, tapes, and we see him on TV every day making these extravagant claims, bragging, saying, I'm the greatest president, I'm the smartest, my crowd sizes are the biggest. He's compared his book to the Bible in a room full of conservatives, which takes a special kind of narcissist to do that. This has caused dozens of respected psychologists to go on the record saying that Donald Trump is in fact a narcissist. So once we establish that, we can use that to kind of think about why he behaves in the way he does. And it's a great question, why is he reacting the way he does to these leaks and close allies turning on him. And when you have a situation like that where someone is being disgraced or humiliated, or they're under the threat of potentially losing power, that's called narcissistic injury. Okay, and when you have a narcissist experiencing narcissistic injury, they tend to behave in certain ways. So their behavior becomes a lot more erratic. They lash out at people. They start to bully people and act aggressive, and they try to place the blame elsewhere. And that really lines up with what we've seen. And what we've heard from books like Bob Woodward's Fear and the anonymous New York Times article from someone on Trump's team. We heard about the internal chaos in the White House. We also see, in the past few weeks, the Twitter rants becoming increasingly crazy. And we've seen him go after Jeff Sessions and try to place the blame on him for everything that's going on, rather than taking personal responsibility. And so it really lines up quite nicely, his behavior, with the fact that he has a narcissistic personality.
I'm really curious how he reacts, what he says, what he does. Is certainly that's the important part substantively. But when you have a personality like this, does he on any level underneath that understand or accept his weaknesses, his limitations, his failures? Like he's lashing out, trying to, in my view, cover for this. Is that the case, or is he actually blind to all of these worst impulses of his?
I mean, I think narcissists generally think that they're infallible, and whenever something goes wrong, it's someone else's fault. So I think a lot of times it doesn't even come to his mind like, oh, I'm responsible for this. I was on camera campaigning and told Russia to find the Clinton emails, or I let these meetings go on that I knew about. I think he immediately goes to, oh, it's Jeff Sessions' fault because he recused himself, and now he can't fire Mueller. Yeah. And that was the reason that I chose him, for his loyalty. So, I think that narcissists have this sort of blind spot where they don't see reality as it is, and they're always trying to place the blame elsewhere.
So you sort of alluded to these possibilities, but he's been facing increased levels of pressure due to people flipping the people that he considers loyal allies previously. If the investigation moves into a new phase, if Donald Trump Jr. is charged, if he's potentially dragged away to prison, if there's a clear threat to the continuation of his presidency, how can we expect that he'll respond? Not just in terms of how he'll act, but what he might do.
Yeah, so I think when a narcissist is experiencing narcissistic injury to an extreme degree, that causes narcissistic rage. And narcissistic rage really entails a lot of the things that I just said, the blaming others, the lashing out, the bullying, the threats, but that all just gets bumped up a notch. So I think if we see someone in his family charged, I think we can expect that Twitter rants to become increasingly crazy. I think he's going to blame the media, blame Democrats. And I think, if it gets to that point, we might actually see him fire Jeff Sessions and try to replace him with someone who could actually shut down the Mueller probe. And that would be terrible, but I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities.
Interesting. Okay, I want to project ahead a year, maybe into the future. We watched him campaign. We understand that he portrayed everything in the country as absolutely damaged and broken. He's the only person that can fix it. He can bring it back to greatness. He's going to be running for re-election, assuming he's still in office. And now the country's his. He's had it for some time. They have power in all these different areas. A narcissist, how do they run for re-election in that situation?
So Donald Trump's favorite political tactic is fear mongering. And he also likes making people very angry. And these emotions do a number of things. When people are fearful, they are pushed to the ideological extreme. So people who might be moderate conservatives, if you tell them, there's immediate dangers you have to worry about, immigrants and Muslims, they hate America, and you're saying all this stuff, you're basically polarizing people and pushing the people on your side further to the right. So yeah, that's a tactic that he's always used, and I think if he's running again, it's basically just going to be more of the same, but the intensity pushed up. And I think he's going to say things like, if he's not reelected, America's going to fall apart. And it's kind of interesting that he already kind of started going down that path a few weeks ago. It was the day that Michael Cohen accepted the plea deal and Manafort was found guilty on 8 charges. And the concept of impeachment was starting to become more of a reality. Trump did an interview with Fox News the next day, and he said that if he's impeached, he thinks the economy would crash.
That's true.
Everyone would be poor. And any kind of uncertainty is going to affect the economy. But to say everybody's overnight is going to become poor, it's just this fear mongering that we see. Yeah. And so I think that's what he's going to resort to, and that's what he does best.
Okay, well, buckle up, America. Okay, Bobby Azarian, cognitive neuroscientist at George Mason University. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for watching this clip from The Damage Report. If you liked it, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and ring the bell on YouTube to get notifications of our new videos. And of course, you can catch the full Damage Report live every weekday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific on TYT Network on YouTube TV.